We're all aware of the Anglo-Saxons going to and fro the earth throughout the entire extremities of the earth to colonize lands such as Australia, South Africa, West Africa, India, America, Palestine, and everywhere else they are today. What exactly did they do when they got to their new homes? Well, they actually completely destroyed the ancient cities, their artifacts. They completely dismantled everything that identified the different tribes and cultures and civilizations that were there. Why? Because they didn't see themselves in it. And this is actually how history was born. They tore down our civilizations and then they made fake ones or put themselves in the place of whatever they let remain of our civilizations and said that they are the ones that did it. Or they assigned people and said, oh, well, these are the so-and-so people. Which is one of the ways that the so-called African Americans had their identity and cultures and tribes erased, and languages and tongues. When the Anglo-Saxons arrived to the shores of America, who did they encounter? They encountered a Negroid people, not Mongoloids or Siberians. In fact, if you take a look at the very bottom, it even says that the description of these indigenous people were very dark people. They were of dark complexion, and it says people even in Panama were described as just like the people in North America as so-called Negroids. And so from the onset of their arrival to both continents, North and South America, many of the indigenous cultures began to show signs of decline. Well, why is that? Because a lot of the societies were victims of extinction. They brutally beat, dismembered, and even unalived a lot of our indigenous people for worshiping in our forms of spirituality that we worshiped. And they gave us their form of worship, which is Christianity. Good old Christianity. It was all a part of their colonial system. Not only that, but they also initiated their political and economic structures as well. They actually had to get permission from the Catholic Church, yes, the Vatican. They had a major role in the destruction of our civilizations and of our people as a whole. Many of our indigenous people rebelled, and you can find that account in Diego de Landa's book, The Yucatan Before and After the Conquest. And it talks about how they actually dismembered a lot of our people. A lot of the men ended up having their genitals cut off. They had limbs cut off. Some people actually were even unalived because they refused to worship in their religion, Christianity. The indigenous people even burnt down their churches, their places of worship. The Anglo-Saxons felt that by replacing our spiritual practices, that they were actually saving our souls. And them Christianizing us, they said it would just be far easier for them to assimilate us into their colonial system. Thomas Jefferson is quoted as saying, in the ways of the palm-colored people. So if you're still a Christian and you look like me, you're still adhering to the ways of the palm-colored people. And don't say that Christianity originated in Africa. Let's not go there. After we accepted their Christianity, we began to adopt their ideology, assimilating into their economic, political, and religious system, pretty much caused the extinction of our societies. And everything that I identified us as being the Olmecs, the Incas, the Aztecs, and what they called Indianness, along with it went our languages that we spoke. And so a lot of people are asking, well, why don't you speak your indigenous languages? Well, why don't you ask the Anglo-Saxons? Here is proof of the destruction, the complete, utter destruction of our languages, our tribes, the entire memory of it. You can pause and read. Did the Anglo-Saxons stop there? Let's continue and see what they did next. The Anglo-Saxons removed everything that would not benefit their existence in the New World. And it was imperative to remove any remains of civilized living, because they want everyone to think that we're just a bunch of idiots. We can't read. We're dumb, stupid, and ignorant, and lazy, which is part of their narrative of us. In came the total obliteration of Mayan artifacts after the Spanish conquest of the Yucatan. What else did these lovely Christians do when they came to our land? They wiped out a lot of our people. They staged massacres against us. If you look at this paragraph here, pause and read. This application of destroying anything Indian is a practice that began as early as the first Anglo-Saxon contact. And believably, today, it's still occurring. Pause and read. What else did these lovely Christians do? Well, the Africans who were also here with us in America, and us, natives, don't get this confused with the people from Mongolia and Siberia, were named by the federal government Native Americans. That was us they're talking about. Well, we passed down our history orally from generation to generation throughout the family. And so this is another thing they attacked so that we weren't able to pass it down. So we would have no memory of who we are. This literally held us together as a people, knowing our history. They destroyed the family unit, which broke us morally. It broke us in every way, and we're still broken to this very day as a result of this, and then all the other things that we forementioned about how they ruined our societies. And they molded and shaped us into the people that they wanted us to be. Last, but certainly not least, blanqueamiento, whitening out of our people. Christopher Columbus and his boys, and just it was just a practice of theirs to take about 5 indigenous women who look like her, marry them or impregnate them, and make babies that look like this. Essentially, this is the whiting out process. And this is what they have done throughout the earth in order to lighten up people. Unfortunately, a lot of Hispanic people don't want to claim this side of them over here. They only want to claim this side. But that's because pale skin supremacy has them all messed up. It even has our people messed up because here we are trying to use bleaching systems to whiten out our skin, which is totally detrimental to us. It's damaging. This beautiful melanin that we have, it actually protects us. It does so many wonderful things for us. Melanin, it costs more than gold. Melanin gives us the intellect that we have. Even down to a cellular level, our melanin protects us. Just Google it and find out about how important your melanin is. They completely erased our histories, and the history that we have inherited today is a work of their hands and their imaginations, literally, because none of it is true. And this, my friends, is what the Anglo-Saxons did when they went throughout the extremities of the earth to the lands they currently reside in.
Now, they tried to say the Nephites was white and the Lamanites was black. That's a switch. That's a lie. The Nephites was black. I mean, not black, but melanated, and the Lamanites was white. Watch this. They need to quit all that capping, bro. They need to stop all that lying, bro. They need to stop the lying, bro. Watch this. Watch this. The Nephites are industrious and practice agriculture. That's how I know that's us. Watch this. The Lamanites are lazy and maybe reverted to a hunter-gatherer society. Right? The Nephites have the gospel and scriptures. The Lamanites were cut off from the presence of the Lord. They were cut off from the presence of spirituality. They tried to switch it like we were cut off.
We know the truth now.
Civilization. Don't ever use civilization again. Don't even use an airplane again. Don't ever use biscuit cutter. Don't ever use a folding bed. Don't ever use a coin changer. Don't ever use a rotary engine. Don't ever use a car coupler, a letterbox, stainless steel pads, torpedo discharger, disposable syringe, home security system. Don't ever use a home security system. Ever. Don't use a cotton planter. Don't use a corn or a cotton planter, as a matter of fact. Don't use an ironing board anymore. Always walk around wrinkled. Look, I said, walk yourself around wrinkled. Don't sweep your streets. Don't use no street sweepers or a horse bridle bit or a horseshoe. Don't use horses. Don't even mow your lawn ever again. Don't use a typewriter or a computer anymore. A train alarm, don't even worry about that. The train's just gonna come right over on the tracks on you. You see this right? A radiation detector, don't worry about that. Don't ever eat no peanut butter and jelly sandwich again. Don't use no paint on your house ever again. Don't use no lotions or soap. Just be in your... What? You don't care? Before you met us, you weren't doing any of these things. Let me put that to you, hunter-gatherer. I'll say it again. Before you met us, I'm talking about all you hunter-gatherers, Africans, Caucasians, Native Americans, Mexicans, anybody else, Italians, all of you. Before you met us, you weren't using any of this. Let me get that through your freaking head right now. Hush, little colonizer, don't say a word. Pappy's gonna show you your ancestors.
Indigenous fam, I have another good one. This one has scientific genetic evidence proving that we are indigenous to the Americas. Go ahead and use this video to shut up those Pan-Africanists. Let's examine the DNA of those who are living in modern-day Egypt, which they call ancient Egypt. I mean, the Museum of Cairo is there after all, which explores the history of the ancient Kemetic people. It has mummies in it, there's Afro pics, there's all sorts of things in that museum. Yes, I've been there to visit. Take a look at these folks. Now, take a look at this right here. It clearly states that this is their DNA. R1b, G2a, and mtDNA, haplogroups H and K. You all have heard of Ramses, is that correct? The guy from the Bible? Yes, him. Well, let's take a look at what his DNA is. Pharaoh Ramses' DNA is E1B1A M2. Who else in the world has that same DNA? Oh, is it the so-called African Americans that has the same DNA as Pharaoh Ramses? Oh my goodness. Didn't they brainwash us to believe that modern day Africa is the motherland? So then why are all the people with the ancient Kemetic DNA in America if modern day Africa is the motherland? Somebody help me. Help a sister out. Someone, please explain to me why the majority of so-called African Americans in America has the E1B1A. People in Africa with the same DNA as the so-called African Americans are the Bemileke, the Ewe, the Ga, the Yoruba, and you see the list right here of all the different people with the E1B1A. Those with the E1B1B haplogroup would be those in the Horn of Africa, in Ethiopia, Somalia, Egypt, and all those, which proves that not all people in Africa are African. We're not all the same people, all so-called black people. Bear in mind, we are the original people of the earth. We were everywhere, all over the earth. People who look like us and similar. And last time I checked, A comes before B. E1B1A is the oldest DNA. Let's not forget our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, y'all. E1B1A shows up all throughout the entire Caribbean, but mostly in Haiti, Haiti, Sac Passe, in Jamaica. Yes. Dominican Republic, St. Andrews, but again, it's all over the Caribbean as well, but mostly in Jamaica and Haiti. We're all the same people, y'all. We are the same people. We come from royalty, okay? Royalty, not slaves. So why don't those people in Giza have the DNA of Pharaoh? I mean, isn't that ancient Egypt over there in Giza? Isn't that what they taught us in history? That it's over on the continent of modern day Africa? So I need someone to explain to me why the so-called African Americans are the ones with the Egyptian Kemetic DNA, why all of the artifacts, the cities, the pyramids and everything were found right here in America and in the Americas. All of the artifacts, the Garden of Eden found right here in America. After all, the pyramids in modern day Africa, Giza, were actually modeled after the pyramids in America. Yes. Why? If modern day Africa is the motherland, why was everything found in America? Please help me understand that. And last but not least, why are the majority of people with Pharaoh Ramses' DNA in America? Why aren't they over in modern day Africa? Why are they in America?